Hail 81, Hail NWO, Hail 81, Hail NWO.
People are losing control.
You'll never take me down.
Harming themselves and others.
That was when I was first afraid of myself.
Seemingly at random.
The police are right outside.
They are all victims of cyberbullying.
How can they get away with it? How?
It didn't matter. He was there and it was fun.
Tens of thousands have made cyberbullying a game with their own rules.
Are you enjoying this?
The haters call their victims masks and their cruel games with them mask games. Aline Bachmann is an influencer. For several years, she has been the victim of online bullying.
He had a really awful life on the racetrack. But that's no reason to poison him. They tried to poison the horses several times. No one can get inside my head or break me, but they really got me with that.
She gets hate messages, and the trolls play mind games with her. There is a method to it all.
Nothing that the group had ever done to me before was as bad as what they did to my animals. You could just tell that these people would stop at nothing.
Bachmann is only one victim.
Bud kissing in high school. Schweinfurt. Schweinfurt Junior High is getting a bomb threat.
Police have been at this high school in Solingen since early this morning. Sniffer dogs are looking for explosives.
Anonymous bomb threats. Closed schools. While the police grope in the dark, the perpetrators speak openly about their actions. They feel untouchable in the anonymity of the internet. But one young woman is on their trail.
Of course, I sometimes step outside the law, but only when I see that there's no other way. My name is Nella. I'm 26 years old and I'm a full-time cybersecurity specialist.
On the surface, there seems little to connect bomb threats with an influencer's poisoned horse. This extensive, long-running investigation follows hundreds of leads, finds countless other victims, and delves into the dark world of online hate. These games have been going on for over 10 years. Their victims suffer terribly, and no one seems to help them. Crimes are rarely solved, and the police, sometimes unwittingly, become part of the game themselves. The notorious German NWO troll group comes up again and again. Victims and their abusers lead us deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole.
I'm Aline Bachmann. I'm 30 years old, and I'm here today to describe what I've been through over the last few years with a hacker group on Telegram.
To understand the game and immerse ourselves in the world of cyberbullies, we have recreated it using artificial intelligence and video technology. We get up close with the abusers and their victims. Aline Bachmann is an influencer, singer, and comedian with nearly 600,000 followers on Instagram. She is loud and often uses vulgar language, even live on TikTok. When provoked, she lashes out.
If you don't apologize right now for saying that, you can go f*** yourself and your kids. There have been many times, many situations where I've just gone too far, with outbursts, with insults, with public statements about people, and there's no excuse for it.
Also diese Trollnetzwerke, die wissen auch ganz genau, wo die Triggerpunkte von gewissen Menschen sind. Dass sie durch ihre Art und Weise bestimmte Unterhaltungswert auslösen würden.
And none of you can punch him in the face. Extremely annoying, right?
Outbursts are part of Aline's story. She still loves the spotlight.
I'm not cheap like you. I've always craved attention on social media and on TV.
She auditioned for countless casting shows and appeared on the talent show DSDS, where she confessed to a crime.
We stole somebody's wallet and took out money with the cards.
You robbed a sick woman?
She was eventually voted off DSDS and started making videos on Facebook comedy.
It's like it went viral from 1 minute to the next. A bit sick. I was very, very overweight. I weighed 200 kilograms.
Aline turned to surgery to deal with her weight, chronicling her entire transformation on her Instagram channel. Her reach increased rapidly, with hundreds of thousands following her experience online. Aline became one of hundreds of so-called masks, a term cyberbullies use for their playing pieces. Online masks, or cyberbullying games, have been running for years, but one group of trolls stands out: the NWO, or New World Order. In German, the acronym can mean Never Again Online.
The NWO sees everything.
Their members are organized in a hierarchy and are involved in all the big mask games. For them, it is pure entertainment.
Everyone has their part, their game, their role to play. For example, maybe you've had a bad day. You go home, pick out someone who doesn't have many viewers and who looks reasonably stupid, and then you pounce on them. And in the best case, get them to lose it.
You'll never take me down.
I would say I'm a fundamental part of the NWO. I'm part of the inner circle. I would describe my internal role as NWO public relations speaker.
The self-appointed press speaker has been a troll for 8 years, but many games have been running for much longer. Like the game with YouTuber Rainer Winkler, alias the Drachenlord.
You could say Drachenlord is the focal point for haters and trolls. And then smaller groups like the NWO emerge from them. In other words, everyone who gets up to mischief on the internet.
A Telegram group about Rainer Winkler, alias Drachenlord, boasts more than 60,000 members. Here they collect information about their victim, harass him, insult him, and give free rein to their hatred. They share videos of him being stalked and losing control.
He's been involved for 12 years and gets upset about stuff that he's experienced 1,000 times, like it was the first time.
Rainer Winkler was a somewhat successful YouTuber who only attracted attention by being easily provoked. Time and again, he also made offensive comments that stirred up hatred against him.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
Okay, so you're borderline. You're lucky I'm not with you then. I'd take you both to bed. I like kids.
Drachenlord's contentious statements about the Holocaust and child abuse draw hatred. He never shows remorse. The hacker Nella observes the scene closely.
There are people who criticize Drachenlord objectively, but then slip into this game fairly quickly because he has a different way of dealing with criticism. And precisely this counterplay creates this game.
Aline Bachmann, too, provides entertainment for the haters. Her online outbursts are trophies that the trolls exchange in the mask game. The New World Order starts its game. Level 1 is provocation. Through an anonymous contact, we gain access to what's called the hate cloud. This is where the cyberbullies collect everything reported about the victims, or content they provide themselves. Aline Bachmann's folder is 260 gigabytes in size.
Alina Bachmann is like the female Drachenlord. She's just as dumb.
So far, Aline had experienced the same hatred that many influencers encounter online. But then she decided to launch a fundraising campaign for a young woman with cancer. Her haters claimed that Bachmann was just trying to improve her image.
Ich hatte noch einen Beitrag auf Instagram gepostet.
I had put another post on Instagram, and some of my haters started writing about the campaign.
Aber auch der Kampagne zu schreiben.
The young woman could not reach Aline, who at the time was on a reality show where phones were banned. The haters took advantage and influenced the cancer patient. At the same time, they reported the campaign en masse for fraud. It was blocked and the money frozen.
The first thing I saw after production was Kuchen TV. Aline Bachmann exploits cancer patient.
Tried again and again to contact Alina, but she was completely ghosted.
The mask game needed to reach as many players as possible. Everyone had a role to play. To make the game bigger, the trolls targeted the channels of Germany's best-known YouTubers. This is where the story had to land to generate reach. And everyone had to realize just how evil Aline Bachmann was. This is level 2, the YouTube wave.
These things make the trolls feel justified in attacking these people. It's a kind of vigilante justice.
More and more YouTubers jumped on the bandwagon and made videos about Aline Bachmann, including Just Nero. With more than 450,000 followers on his YouTube channel, he was the perfect tool to turn up the heat against Aline. They purposefully fed him inflammatory information about her, meaning it was possible he didn't see through the lies. The haters controlled the story.
Ja, mir schreiben am Tag gefühlt 50 Leute.
I must have 50 people writing to me every day. One of them gave me some information about a certain topic.
Ja, das,
I think I first heard about it from the Kuchen TV video on YouTube.
Bin ich, glaube ich, durch ein Kuchen TV Video.
Christian Solmecke is a lawyer and a renowned legal expert on YouTube. He is familiar with these situations and watched the online battle between Aline Bachmann and Just Nero.
He is by no means a cyberbully himself. He portrays himself as an investigator, but he gets his information from the cyber scene.
There was always space to talk about it. I wouldn't accept it either if someone spread lies about me.
Just Nero made 20 videos about Aline. For the game to succeed, the victim has to ignore criticism and defend themselves. They make mistakes and hit back at the wrong person. Here, Aline supposedly threatens legal action.
I told you, I don't want anything. I just want money. I want them to pay me a lot of money. I wasn't talking with my lawyer.
What did you do?
I don't know how much I took, but easily 1,000 milligrams of Tilidine, just to numb everything. And then you're pretty spaced out. And then to go live and say I have my lawyer beside me and I'm going to make everyone pay, it just didn't happen like that.
Aline went on TikTok with the woman for whom she had raised money shortly before her death. The woman apologized for the hate that had been directed at Aline.
I just wanted to thank Aline. I never wanted to hurt her, but suddenly all these haters were there saying she was using me.
Then people wrote in that I had paid her thousands of euros to restore my reputation.
Of course, the way she dealt with this issue poured fuel on the fire, and at some point, the people who are prepared to go further realized this. As I said, I make my videos and that's the end of it. I have nothing at all to do with what goes on in the background.
But the NWO trolls contacted Aline from the background.
One day I got a WhatsApp message from a UK number asking me if I would delete all my YouTube, Instagram and TikTok accounts, or if they should start the game. And at the time, I didn't even know what the game was. I only remember telling them to start the game because there was no way I was going to delete my accounts.
The decision had serious consequences. Her attackers had already mobilized. A young man calling himself Patayana on Telegram wanted access to Aline's personal data. Level 3, the hacker attack.
At the start, it was all about the address, to get people to join the channel, because from then on, many people could work on their own. But we just published everything, including pictures from the drive and things like that. We just didn't stop.
I could see on Instagram that his Windows XP was suddenly logged in somewhere near Leipzig. He had access to my accounts, he had access to phone numbers.
The group that hacked Aline called itself NRR, but they soon disbanded and joined the NWO. Nella knows about Patayana.
He left the Aline Bachmann group pretty quickly, then this couple started to take over the channel.
We've called the couple Campino and Molly, and they met in the masked games. They run the Aline Bachmann group on Telegram, which has quickly grown to over 5,000 people. We have been communicating with them on Telegram for more than a year. They know everything about Aline. They won't agree to an interview.
I have nothing to gain but stress, danger, and the risk of ruining a game.
A post appears in the Telegram group.
Hallo Leute, ich stehe total drauf, wenn Menschen meine persönlichen Daten veröffentlichen und mich total exposen. Ich stehe auch total auf Hausbesuche, also falls ihr Lust auf schnellen, anonymen, harten und dreckigen Sex habt, könnt ihr mich gern in Dresden in der St. Petersburger Straße 28 besuchen. Liebe Grüße, eure Aline Bachmann.
All of Aline's information was on Telegram, which the haters were now using in their game.
Everything was on my phone. Account data, transactions, surgery photos, nudes, phone numbers, business partners' names and email threads.
The couple and the group began accessing her apartment. Level 4 had begun. Delivery order terror. In Aline's home in central Dresden.
It started with 10 or 20 orders a day, and it really got out of hand, especially when I went live on social media like TikTok and Instagram.
Once they are targeted by such trolls, many people receive lots and lots of these orders. It's a form of stalking, and it's a criminal offence. If crimes are committed and I facilitate a crime, I can also be judged as an offender. If I incite others to crime, I will be judged as a criminal.
Hi, Sinister Blonde.
Sinister Blonde is one of the most active NWO trolls. He has perfected the delivery order terror by creating a bot that automatically sends orders. A name and address are enough for him to place hundreds of food orders at the same time with just one click. His trophy? Overwhelmed people in front of the webcam.
We've had 5 fake food orders just today. Ah, the doorbell. Be right back.
The delivery company says a few dozen such cases have been reported. Sinister Blonde is one of the most radical trolls. He has even threatened a mother and her child with a gun.
This is a message from the NWO. We know where you and your kid are. We're coming for you. We'll find you.
The trolls' violent fantasies about the woman know no bounds in their conversations.
You don't need to have her killed. You can just get her beaten so she can't walk. If she's near Austria, I can beat her up for you, just like that.
More than just delivery drivers come to Aline's building. People wanting to buy drugs gain access to the stairwell and stand outside her door.
He was standing in front of the door, barking like a dog, and started scratching at the door. Then he started to put the 50-euro bill through the bottom. I just remember my boyfriend coming in and screaming at him. I ripped open the door with a knife in my hand. He said he needed his painkillers. He said Telegram sent him.
He showed her a chat history with a supposed dealer. This is how the troll group controls people who don't even know that they are part of the game. The NWO meets on Discord, a communication platform with video calling. The NWO server is called Chat and Chill and has different levels, behind which there are smaller groups. A game with a ranking system.
In the end, they were just a prestige Discord rank, so that the newcomers had somewhere to level up. But in the end, there were only sickos on there who did nothing but cause trouble 24/7.
Around 2,500 people are registered on the server, where they exchange information about new victims and post their trophies. We learned that Nella, along with a cyberbully called Mimon, is temporarily in charge. She is in with the trolls, but what role does she play in the mask game?
As the name says, it was really about chatting and chilling, and then it developed into a hardliner troll server.
Nella continued to hang out and work with people from the NWO on Discord, collecting evidence undercover.
We just let it run its course until at some point I was downgraded, but Mimon still had admin rights. I no longer did, and it just got worse and worse.
Und es hat sich dann immer weiter verschlimmert.
Nella had created this server, but lost control of it. Anyone can control and become puppets in the trolls' game. Level 5 begins. The puppets.
It's like day and night. No limits. In real time.
Just as the drug buyer at Aline's front door was essentially remote controlled, the NWO press speaker also controlled his masks. He describes a case from the NWO's inner circle. For months, the victim was the plaything of the toughest trolls.
There was a 65-year-old mentally ill man who had been picked up several times by the police in various cities and then put in a locked psychiatric ward. We pretended to be a television crew and gave him various tasks. It was like he was in contact with the director 24/7.
One of the gang cut a hole in the facility's fence. The man managed to escape, but ended up back in the psychiatric ward shortly after.
He blew cigarette smoke into the smoke detector to set off the alarm, and like magic, all the doors in the place opened, and he took off.
The sad end came when the victim was at the home of another victim.
You've seen the video. He ended up with some losers and they pumped him full of drugs.
They're coming for you. Police, police.
He overdosed on something. His own choice. He thought he was taking some kind of wisdom crystal so he could communicate telepathically.
After this live stream, which lasted more than 2 hours, the man disappeared.
He was just gone. Didn't hear from him again. Nothing. He was just a mask. What can I say? Didn't matter. He was there, it was fun, but the show must go on.
The many attacks were making Aline paranoid. Just Nero, the YouTuber, became her main adversary. It went back and forth, until at some point she claimed he was the hacker and published his real name and supposed address. A crime.
She accused me of being the hacker 3 times, each time using a different identity. When you're accused of things like that, it harms your reputation.
A legal dispute ensued, which drew the attention of Christian Solmecke.
Since she couldn't prove her claim, he won his case. And then he had even more fodder for further videos.
Solmecke, too, made videos about Aline Bachmann on his YouTube channel with a 1 million-strong audience. The game continued unabated, but no longer just for Aline and her boyfriend. Aline's mother especially suffered from events that she herself could barely comprehend.
It started very harmlessly with parcels, but then wine orders came and clothes and all kinds of food. The bell just kept ringing.
Then the trolls went a step further and booked a hearse for Aline Bachmann's allegedly deceased mother.
The doorbell rang and 2 men were standing outside dressed in black. They asked who I was and I told them I was Miss Bachmann. They said a young man had called them, bawling on the phone that his mother had died. He wanted them to collect Miss Bachmann's body.
The NWO went further. Aline's mother played us a message on her answering machine.
Hello, dear Mrs. Bachmann. Unfortunately, we have a conflict. We're coming by at midnight tonight to cut off your head. Best wishes from the NWO.
I was afraid they'd do something, wait in the garden and ambush me or something.
The trolls also faked emergency calls. The police called on Aline's mother on 5 occasions. The perpetrators were never found. Instead, the accusation.
Miss Bachmann, have you ever seen what your daughter does on the internet? Well, what does that have to do with it? How can a policewoman come here and accuse me as a mother? She made out like it was my own fault.
Cyberbullies terrorize their victims by making hoax emergency calls to the police or fire department. It's called swatting and has become a trend. This is level 6. Police operations. One of the largest Discord servers in Germany is called Centrum and has almost 100,000 registered users. At 11 p.m. on March 17, 2024, hundreds watched as several live streamers were swatted in succession by anonymous people.
Let's swat this one. This one.
A patrol car is coming. Please draw attention to yourself. Shout or something.
Hear that? It's happening.
What's going on? The street's full of police.
Swatting is also a problem on the Chat and Chill Discord server run by Nella and the NWO.
That's why we, the hardcore of the NWO, got the hell off this server. All the new masks that were found there were completely wiped out. You want to build up a game and have fun with it. So there's no point in completely destroying him on day 1 and then moving on to the next.
Aline was repeatedly swatted. She said the police were called 28 times for various fake emergencies.
The first emergency call here was triggered by the Nora emergency app. It was about 2:30 in the morning. They thought my boyfriend had stabbed me in the apartment. You can imagine the ambulance, police. They were all here. It was lit up like a Christmas tree.
Nora is a state-funded emergency call app. Criminals misuse it by calling the fire department and police on their victims using false telephone numbers. To prevent abuse, it was shut down by the state in 2023. The emergency call app was then updated and has been back online as of September 2024. We learned from Nella that 3 members of the NWO were behind those numbers. They call themselves Danielle Funke, Zelix, and Conra. Nella was able to find 2 of them, and investigations have been opened. The editorial team has their real names. They brag about their attacks in recorded conversations.
It was like a movie. We were screaming. We were so drunk. I was really high on coke at the time. I was awake for 2 days just swatting people. Cool.
That was Daniel Funke. He is still at large.
Daniel Funke knows very well that the authorities are watching him too. Otherwise, he wouldn't talk so openly.
Daniel Funke also plays a role in the Aline Bachmann game. The hacker Marvin404 was a hater at first, but then defended Aline.
I was in a dispute with Aline Bachmann, but then I saw that it was getting serious. It led me to defend her, and so I became a target of the NWO because I defended Aline.
Daniel Funke had him in his sights. He used a trick called spoofing to find out Marvin's address. This let him call police stations and pretend to be a police officer. The number of another police station appears on the officer's telephone. This is him talking with another station, using an altered voice.
Schönen guten Abend, Sabrina Neumann, mein Name von der PT Potsdam. Ich habe jetzt selber probiert, die Pulsabfrage durchzuführen. Es kommt halt leider nichts raus. Vielleicht könnten Sie mir mehr zu der Person sagen.
The German police used the POLAS system to obtain criminal records and address details. Funke claimed he had just picked up Marvin for being rowdy in a supermarket. The officer at the other end of the line readily offered information.
Lee Marvin is in fact registered here in Dienstlaken. He was born in Dorsten.
Könnten Sie mir einmal die genaue Anschrift sowie die Vorstrafen durchgeben?
His address is number 465 Dienstlaken. You can even hear that it's a voice distorter, that it's not a normal voice. And it was late in the evening. The officers were tired just before shift end.
The Dienstlaken police from Wesel County made the following statement. Information is king in the game. Knowing everything about Aline Bachmann allows Campino and Molly to terrorize their victim again and again with new ideas.
I sometimes found empty envelopes in my mailbox addressed to me where people had just taken the contents. Letters from the police, from the district attorney's office.
Then Campino had an idea, the Chaya mail digitalization service. Chaya receives mail in paper form and sends it to its customers by email. Campino convinced the company that he was Aline's boyfriend. And with the forged power of attorney, he had her mail redirected through Chaya. This way, Campino and Molly received all of Aline's mail. We asked Chaya for a statement but received no reply. Aline herself no longer receives any mail. Campino bragged about it in the chat with us.
Her post has been published on the channel for weeks in case you haven't seen it yet. Sometimes you don't get any mail for 8 months and get kicked out of your apartment.
The group had done it. Aline was going to lose her apartment, but she didn't know that yet. She was busy with another police operation.
There were 2 police buses full of officers. I got dressed and got out of the apartment. I went down to the 2nd floor to watch from there if they went into my entrance. My mother called and said the police were searching her house because of a bomb threat.
The police had an email that Aline had allegedly written to a collection agency.
She and her husband are building a bomb at 28 St. Petersburg Street. The housing association has a court order to evict them. And I stood there and thought, well, what's going on here?
YouTuber Rainer Winkler, alias Drachenlord, lost his house in the Drachen game too, because the so-called Dragon's Lair, his parents' house, was being repeatedly targeted and the whole village disrupted. He sold it to the local council, which had the house torn down. He then tried to go into hiding, sometimes sleeping in the woods. But he never went offline and continued to stream. After some time underground, the haters from the Schanzen Watch Telegram group learned he was staying in a guest house in Saxony. Rumors spread in the group that he had sexually molested a neighbor's child there. He was reported but denied the allegations. The haters were back outside the house.
Mr. Winkler, come out and face your fans.
They smashed windows and threw paint bombs. Even when he traveled by train, he was followed and filmed.
Mr. Winkler, would you please comment on the accusations that you touched a small child? Mr. Winkler, Mr. Winkler.
After 12 years, the game continues.
Welcome to Lower Saxony.
Aline and her boyfriend were evicted from their apartment, and she was placed under investigation. She had allegedly written this email to the collection agency about €29.50 owed to the property manager. The investigation into Aline continued. Bomb threats like the one at the start of our film are the last stage in the troll game. This is where the criminals had their greatest impact when an alleged Hamas bomb threat went out to 250 schools in October 2023. Another sender said this.
A bit of Hamas, a bit of AK-47, get them all. Hamas everywhere.
The NWO may be a loose association, its key players plagued by infighting, but Germany's most influential and cruel cyber trolls are gathered under its banner. No one can control them, and the police clearly need help with their investigations.
I got Konra once and Xelik once. Xelik is technically adept too. Konra was a very inconspicuous guy. Daniel Funke hasn't been caught yet. At some point, even I can't do anything more to stop them, and neither can the police.
Nella put the officers on this trail. We asked the Federal Criminal Police to talk to us about this network of cyber criminals active throughout Germany. But after several requests, they refused to give us an interview or any background, referring us to the federal states. Then the Berlin State Criminal Police responded to our request. In Aline Bachmann's specific case, we contacted the Dresden police. They confirmed that officers were repeatedly deployed. We turned to the Saxony State Police, who said,
Trolling is not being prosecuted on a large scale by law enforcement agencies. Cyberbullying per se is not a criminal offense in Germany. Trolling is only a non-legal umbrella term for various offenses such as defamation, insults, stalking.
So far, nothing has transpired for Aline Bachmann. None of her trolls have been caught yet.
The police on the street know exactly what's going on. They know how many calls they've come to, how many reports I've made for data misuse and other things.
Aline speaks of the time as a vicious circle of drugs, isolation, and physical decline. This is where level 7 begins: psychosis and thoughts of suicide.
I'd never had suicidal thoughts in my life. Never. Life was too precious.
The trolls clearly believe she deserves it all. At least that's how they justify their game. And Aline is still in it. Even since our filming, there have been police operations. Even in her new apartment. Still, she feels that the haters have made her a better person.
Und da kann ich an dem Punkt wirklich Danke sagen.
I really have to thank them for that. They made me hit rock bottom, but they also made me rise again.
Sie haben mich auch wieder auferstehen lassen.
That sounds difficult to grasp. But the game also continues in part because Aline herself never stops attacking people.
She hasn't stopped with me either. She's been verbally abusive towards me since the beginning. She herself doesn't recognize any boundaries. That's exactly the problem with reaching out to people like her, who are so into this game, because you never know when you're going to be her next target.
Nella is a hacker who actually fights the good fight. She's my former hacker's ex-girlfriend.
The very same hacker who published all of Aline's data.
Is she right that Patianer is your ex-boyfriend?
We were friends, yes, but what she neglects to mention is that I'm the one who made him quit.
Nella's role in the masked games is difficult to grasp. She is friends with many of the players. At the same time, she works with the police.
I've stopped with the radical stuff, but yes, I still hunt people. And the other trolls are no different. They will never be able to let it go completely. They will just do it differently, deal with it differently, and hang out somewhere else.
The self-proclaimed NWO press spokesman says he has quit and sums it up this way.
While everyone around you is getting on with their lives, building a future and their careers, you're just sitting in front of the computer, wasting your time for nothing.
Nella has a final message for Aline and everyone else involved.
For your own protection, you have to realize at some point that you can't win against these trolls. It's an unwritten law that you can't win against trolls. You just can't.
Aline Bachmann has been trying to win against the trolls and cyberbullies for years. Her fight is against thousands. Campino and Molly are no longer active, and the original Aline Bachmann game group has been deleted. But there is already a new one, led by Lilith the Boss, aka Lady of Doom. She calls the shots in the Aline Bachmann game, because that's what it is for the trolls, a game. But it is a game with people's lives. Law enforcement authorities seem overwhelmed, almost reluctant to take the issue seriously. The criminals have little fear of prosecution. They will continue, because the show must go on.